The message came on a Tuesday. Dr. Peter Collins was reviewing data from the Large Radio Telescope Array in New Mexico when the pattern appeared. At first, he thought it was an error, a glitch in the system. He ran the numbers again. The result was the same. His hands trembled as he reached for his phone. "Get Dr. Ward down here now," he told his assistant. Within an hour, the observation room was packed with scientists. They stared at the screens in silence. The pattern was unmistakable, a sequence of prime numbers, followed by mathematical constants that could not occur naturally. Someone was sending a message, and that someone wasn't human. "It's from Tau Ceti," Samantha Ward said, her voice barely above a whisper, 4.3 light-years away. The news spread quickly. Within days, every major observatory on Earth confirmed the signal. News channels ran non-stop coverage. Religious leaders called emergency meetings. Stock markets fluctuated wildly. In homes across the world, people looked up at the night sky with new eyes. 1 week after the discovery, the United Nations called an emergency session. Representatives from every nation gathered to decide how humanity should respond. Peter stood before them, his notes clutched tightly in his hand. "We need to be cautious," he said. "We know nothing about this civilization. Their technology is clearly advanced enough to send signals across star systems. They could be peaceful explorers or something else entirely." Samantha took the podium next. "This is the greatest moment in human history," she said. "We now know for certain that we are not alone. We should respond with the best of what humanity has to offer, our art, our science, our hopes for the future." The debate raged for days. Some nations wanted to send a message immediately. Others wanted to wait and gather more information. A few suggested not responding at all. On the final day, Alan Murphy, the director of the newly formed United Nations Space Coalition, presented a third option. "We will listen," he said. "We will learn. We will decode their messages and study them carefully. But for now, we will not respond." His proposal shocked everyone. It was meant to be temporary, a cautious approach while Earth prepared a proper response. The measure passed by a narrow margin. The silent protocol was established. Earth would monitor all incoming transmissions but send nothing in return until more was understood about these alien beings. Peter agreed with the decision. Samantha did not. Their friendship, which had spanned 20 years of working together, grew strained. "We're making a mistake," Samantha told him one night as they watched the stars from the observatory roof. "What if they think we're ignoring them? What if they stop trying to communicate? What if responding puts Earth at risk?" Peter countered. "We need time to prepare." But the aliens did not stop sending messages. More came, growing more complex. Images of strange worlds with unfamiliar landscapes. Diagrams of star systems. Mathematical proofs of increasing difficulty. Years passed. The temporary measure became permanent. The United Nations expanded the silent protocol into a comprehensive set of laws governing Earth's response to extraterrestrial contact. Listening posts were built throughout the solar system, creating an invisible web to capture and analyze every signal from beyond. Peter and Samantha both grew old as they studied the messages. They trained new scientists to continue their work. The generation that first heard the alien signal was replaced by children who had grown up knowing that humans were not alone in the universe. By 2125, 50 years after the first contact, Earth had received transmissions from 3 different star systems. Each alien civilization had its own language, its own mathematical style, its own way of seeing the universe. None of them seemed to communicate with each other. Each sent messages only to Earth. Some people began to question the silent protocol. Protests formed outside government buildings. "Let us speak to the stars," their signs read. But by then, breaking the silence had become unthinkable to those in power. What would these advanced beings think of humans who had listened for decades without responding? Would they see it as an insult, as a sign of fear? The uncertainty kept the protocol in place. By 2175, a century after first contact, the protests had faded. Children learned about the silent protocol in school alongside other unchangeable facts of life. Earth continued to advance technologically, partly inspired by concepts gleaned from the alien transmissions. Humanity expanded throughout the solar system, establishing colonies on the Moon, Mars, and the larger moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Each new settlement included sophisticated listening equipment, expanding humanity's ability to receive messages from the stars. By 2225, communications had been detected from 7 different civilizations. The messages were collected in the greatest library ever created, the Xenocommunication Archive. Scientists devoted their entire careers to studying single transmissions, teasing out their meaning. Humanity learned about alien biology, alien worlds, alien ways of thinking, all without revealing anything of themselves in return. By 2275, 200 years after first contact, the number of communicating civilizations had grown to 10. The archive had become the most important scientific resource in human history. The silent protocol was no longer questioned. It had become tradition, a fundamental aspect of how humanity saw its place in the universe. Earth watched and listened but never spoke. By 2325, 250 years after the first message arrived from Tau Ceti, communications had been received from 12 distinct alien civilizations. Humanity had spread throughout the solar system. The technology for interstellar travel was being developed, though no ships had yet ventured beyond the Kuiper Belt. Earth said nothing. And then everything changed. Commander Olivia Hayes watched the swirling storms on Neptune through the large viewing window of her private quarters. The blue giant looked peaceful from this distance, its waves raging at hundreds of miles per hour but appearing as gentle brushstrokes from the research station that orbited it. She had been stationed here for 5 years now, far from Earth but at the perfect position to monitor deep space transmissions. The Neptune listening post was the farthest human outpost in the solar system, a lonely collection of modules and sensor arrays dedicated to one purpose: capturing alien communications from the outer reaches of the galaxy. As head of the Deep Space Monitoring Division, Olivia oversaw a team of 30 specialists who analyzed these messages day and night. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. "Commander Hayes, to the monitoring room, please," said the calm voice of the station's AI system. She found her team gathered around the main display screen. Communications Officer Frank Miller looked up as she entered. His normally relaxed face was tense with excitement or worry, she couldn't tell which. "What is it?" Olivia asked. "We've detected something unusual," Frank said. "A signal that doesn't match any known communication pattern." Lieutenant Ryan Cooper, fresh from Earth Space Academy, was already running analysis programs. "It's not following any linguistic or mathematical structure we've seen before," he explained. Olivia studied the data scrolling across the screen. "Where is it coming from?" Ryan pointed to a star map. "That's the strange part. It's not coming from any of our documented civilizations. Based on signal strength and trajectory, it's coming from somewhere in the Kuiper Belt." Olivia felt a chill run down her spine. The Kuiper Belt was the region of ice and rock at the edge of their solar system, practically their backyard in astronomical terms. "Are you saying the signal is coming from within our solar system?" she asked. Frank nodded. "Yes, ma'am. And it's moving." The team worked through the night, tracking the signal as it strengthened. By morning, they had confirmed what seemed impossible. An object of non-human origin was traveling through the outer solar system, and it was heading directly toward Earth. Olivia immediately sent a priority message to United Nations Space Coalition headquarters on Mars. The response came within hours. "Maintain silence. Track the object. Prepare defensive measures if necessary." "With respect, Director," Olivia replied. "If they're already in our solar system, silence serves no purpose." "They know we're here." The response was firm. "The silent protocol stands, Commander. These are your orders." That evening, Olivia called her senior staff to her quarters. Frank and Ryan arrived first, followed by Dr. Susan Bell, the station's xenolinguistics expert, and Chief Engineer Paul Green. "I've been reviewing the history of the silent protocol," Olivia told them. It was never meant to be permanent. It was a temporary measure until we understood more about alien civilizations. We've had 250 years to understand them, Susan said. We probably know more about their languages than they do at this point. Paul leaned forward. What are you suggesting, Commander? Olivia took a deep breath. The protocol was created out of caution, and it's kept us safe. But it's also kept us isolated. We've been collecting messages for centuries without ever responding. Maybe it's time we join the conversation. You're talking about breaking the most fundamental law in human history, Frank said quietly. I'm talking about fulfilling its original purpose, Olivia countered. The protocol was meant to protect us until we were ready. After 250 years of studying alien communications, I believe we're ready. Ryan, the youngest of them, spoke up. Whatever's out there, it's coming whether we talk to it or not. Wouldn't it be better to establish communication on our terms? The discussion continued late into the night. By the time they separated, a decision had been made. They would continue to track the object, but they would also prepare a message, just in case, over the next week, the object moved deeper into the solar system, passing the orbit of Uranus, then Saturn. Its trajectory was unmistakable now. It was heading for Earth. Olivia ordered the station to prepare for emergency evacuation. Back to Earth. If first contact was going to happen, she wanted her team there. The UNSC vessel Horizon departed Neptune orbit carrying Olivia and her core team. The trip would take 3 weeks with their fastest engines. The alien object would reach Earth just days before them. As they traveled, Susan worked on crafting a potential response message. She chose elements from the first alien transmission humanity had ever received, mathematical sequence that had been deciphered centuries ago. If we're going to break 250 years of silence, she explained, we should acknowledge that we've been listening all along. Daily updates from Earth grew increasingly tense. The object had been classified as a probe, approximately the size of a small shuttle. Military vessels from Earth and Mars were moving to intercept it. Nations were preparing their defenses. Civilians were being advised to remain calm but prepared. 2 weeks into their journey, as they passed the orbit of Mars, Olivia received new orders upon arrival. She and her team were to report directly to UNSC headquarters for debriefing and possibly disciplinary action. Someone had discovered their message preparations. They think we're planning to break protocol, Frank said when she showed him the orders. We are, Olivia replied. The question is whether we'll get the chance. The alien probe entered Earth. Orbit exactly 1 day before the Horizon arrived. By then, the whole solar system was watching. The silent protocol had kept humanity's voice from the stars for 250 years, but now the stars had come to them. The time for silence was ending. The alien probe settled into Earth orbit as billions of humans watched through screens and telescopes. It was beautiful in a strange way, a sleek crystalline structure that seemed to shimmer as it caught the sunlight. Military spacecraft kept their distance, weapons ready but not engaging. The world held its breath, waiting. The Horizon docked at the orbital station above Earth just hours after the probe's arrival. Commander Olivia Hayes and her team were immediately escorted to a secure conference room where UNSC Director Gregory Wilson waited with a team of government officials. You were instructed to maintain the silent protocol, Director Wilson said without greeting. His face was tight with stress, dark circles under his eyes suggesting he hadn't slept in days. The situation has changed, Olivia replied calmly. They're here in our orbit. Silence doesn't protect us anymore. That's not your decision to make, Commander, Wilson snapped. For 250 years we've maintained our position. We observe, we analyze, we do not engage. From the view screen on the wall, they could see the alien probe making another orbit of Earth. 3 days had passed since its arrival, and it had done nothing threatening. It simply circled the planet, occasionally sending out brief energy pulses that scanned portions of the surface. They're taking our picture, Ryan Cooper said quietly. Just like we've been doing to them for centuries. Director Wilson glared at the young lieutenant, but didn't contradict him. What are your orders? Olivia asked. Continue monitoring the probe, analyze its scans, prepare defensive options if needed. Wilson gathered his papers. But under no circumstances are we to initiate contact, is that clear? After the director left, Olivia and her team were assigned quarters in the station. That night, they gathered in her room. The whole planet is waiting, Susan Bell said, looking out the small window at Earth below them. But our leaders are still clinging to silence. Frank Miller shook his head. What did they expect? That we could hide forever? That no one would ever come looking? Ryan pulled out a data tablet. I've been monitoring the probe's scanning patterns. It's been methodical, covering most of Earth's surface. But in the last few hours, it started focusing on our communication networks. It's looking for a response, Olivia said. They all knew what she was thinking. Susan opened her own tablet and pulled up the message she had prepared during their journey to Eartha. Mathematical sequence mirroring the very first alien transmission received 250 years earlier, followed by simple greetings in 20 human languages. It's ready, Susan said. But we would need access to a planetary transmission system to send it. Paul Green, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. I might be able to help with that. The station's emergency broadcast system could be reconfigured. They looked at each other, the weight of what they were considering hanging in the air between them. Breaking the silent protocol wasn't just against orders, it was against the law. A law that had shaped human civilization for 2.5 centuries. If we do this, Olivia said slowly, there's no going back. We'll face serious consequences. If we don't do this, Ryan countered, we might face worse ones. What if the probe gets tired of waiting and leaves? Or what if it decides our silence is hostile? Olivia looked at each of them in turn. This has to be unanimous. I won't order any of you to risk your careers. One by one, they nodded their agreement. That night, while most of the station slept, Paul gained access to the emergency broadcast system. Susan loaded her message. Olivia gave the final authorization with her command codes. The transmission was sent humanity's first deliberate message to an alien intelligence in 250 years of knowing they weren't alone. The response came faster than any of them expected. Within minutes, the probe adjusted its orbit, positioning itself directly above the space station. Before alarms could even sound, a new signal began broadcasting not to the station, not to military or government facilities, but to every public communications network on the planet. They're bypassing us completely, Frank said, staring at the monitors in disbelief. Across Earth, billions of screens lit up with the same images. Strange, beautiful landscapes that were clearly not of Earth, creatures of incredible diversity some, with multiple limbs, some that seemed to float, some that glowed with internal light, star maps showing hundreds of inhabited worlds, and finally, words translated into every major human language as if the aliens had been studying Earth's communications for years. Why did you wait so long to answer? The simple question appeared. On screens in homes, schools, public spaces, and government facilities. Earth's long silence was over, broken not by the careful plans of world leaders, but by the decision of 5 people who believed it was time for humanity to speak. Chaos erupted throughout the Earth government. Director Wilson stormed into Olivia's quarters, his face red with fury. Do you have any idea what you've done? He demanded. 250 years of caution, of preparation, all thrown away in one moment of insubordination. Olivia stood to face him. With respect, sir, the silent protocol was never meant to last forever. It was meant to protect us until we were ready. I believe we've been ready for a long time. Before Wilson could respond, his communication device chimed with an urgent message. The President of the United Nations wanted to speak with him and with Commander Hayes. The President's face appeared on the view screen, surprisingly calm given the circumstances. It seems the decision has been taken out of our hands, she said. The aliens have made direct contact with our people. The silent protocol is effectively over. Madam President, Wilson began. Commander Hayes deliberately violated. That can be addressed later, the President interrupted. Right now, we need to respond to this new reality. Commander, your team made first contact. You will help us navigate what comes next. Within hours, Olivia and her team were working with Earth's top scientists and diplomats to craft an official response to the alien message. The probe continued to broadcast images and information, revealing something unexpected it represented. Not a single alien species, but a coalition of spacefaring civilizations called the Galactic Concordat. As dawn broke over North America, Olivia stood at the window of the space station. Looking down at Earth, for 250 years, humanity had listened to the stars in silence. Now, finally, they had found their voice. 1 week after the probe's first message, Olivia sat in a large conference room at United Nations headquarters in New York. Around her were scientists, diplomats, and military officers from every major nation on Earth. They had been meeting non-stop, trying to understand the flood of information coming from the alien vessel. The room fell silent as the main screen activated, showing a being unlike anything from Earth. It had a tall, slender body with 4 limbs that seemed capable of serving as either arms or legs. Its skin shimmered with colors that shifted as it moved. Most striking were its eyes, large, multifaceted organs that reminded Olivia of insect eyes, but with an unmistakable intelligence behind them. "I am Coordinator Zen of the Galactic Concordat," it said in perfect English. "We are pleased that Earth has finally chosen to join our conversation." President Diana Russell stepped forward. "On behalf of humanity, I welcome you. We have many questions." "As do we," Zen replied. "For 250 Earth years, we have sent messages to your world. We detected your civilization, observed your development, and waited for your response. Yet until recently, Earth remained silent. This is unusual among developing worlds." The revelation stunned everyone in the room. Earth hadn't been ignored during its silence, it had been respected. The Concordat, they learned, consisted of over 60 different spacefaring species spread across thousands of star systems. They had a strict policy of non-interference with developing worlds until those worlds chose to engage. "We did not wish to impose ourselves," Zen explained. "Each civilization must decide when it is ready to join the larger community." After the meeting, Olivia walked with Susan through the UN gardens. "We've been the Galactic Hermits," Olivia said, still processing everything they had learned. "While we've been hiding, dozens of younger civilizations have joined the Concordat. Some of them only developed radio technology a century ago," Susan added. "They responded to first contact immediately, and they're already traveling between stars." That evening, Olivia was summoned to a private meeting with President Russell. To her surprise, Director Wilson was also present, looking uncomfortable. "Commander Hayes," the president began, "your actions in breaking the silent protocol were unauthorized and potentially dangerous." Olivia straightened her back, ready to accept whatever punishment was coming. "However," Russell continued, "they also led to the most important breakthrough in human history. The Concordat has offered to share technology with Earth, including faster-than-light communication. Had we responded even once in the past 250 years, this knowledge would have been offered immediately." Wilson cleared his throat. "The President has asked me to reconsider my recommendation for your court-martial?" Russell smiled slightly. "In fact, we need you for something more important. The Concordat has invited Earth to send representatives to their nearest outpost. You and your team will go." 2 days later, the world watched as President Russell addressed the United Nations General Assembly. The session was broadcast globally, with billions tuning in. "For 250 years, she said, our fear kept us silent. In doing so, we denied ourselves connection to a community that could have helped us solve our greatest challenges: disease, climate stabilization, energy limitations. Today we correct that mistake." The vote was unanimous. The silent protocol was officially disbanded, and Earth would formally request membership in the Galactic Concordat. The preparations moved quickly. A ship was provided by the Concordata, small vessel capable of speeds that human science had only theorized about. Olivia and her team spent months learning its basic operations, assisted by 2 Concordat representatives who would accompany them. One of them, a being named Kelth from a water world in the Sirius system, was especially helpful. Its form resembled an Earth octopus, but with 7 limbs instead of 8 and a complex vocal system that allowed it to speak several human languages. Your species fascinates many in the Concordat, Kelth told Olivia one day as they worked on the ship's navigation system. Most developing worlds respond to first contact within months. The longest wait before yours was 12 years. Your 250-year? Silence became something of a mystery. What did they think was happening? Ryan asked. Some theorized humans were highly cautious by nature, Kelth replied. Others wondered if your civilization had collapsed after detecting alien life, and only the automated systems remained. A few suggested Earth might be developing some extraordinary technology that required complete isolation. It's just fear, Frank said quietly. Nothing more complicated than that. Kelth's skin rippled in what they had learned was a gesture of understanding. Fear is not unique to humans. Every species faces it when contemplating the unknown. What matters is that you overcame it. The day before their departure, Olivia visited her parents' home in the countryside. Her father, a retired engineer, asked the question she had been avoiding. Are you afraid? Going so far from home? Olivia looked up at the night sky, now filled with new meaning, less afraid than I was of staying silent. The launch day arrived. The ship, which they had named Dawn, waited on the platform. A small crowd had gathered, family members, government officials, and thousands of ordinary people who wanted to witness the historic moment. As Olivia and her team prepared to board, Director Wilson approached them. He had been reassigned to oversee Earth's integration into the Concordat, working directly with alien representatives. I still believe the protocol had its purpose, he told Olivia. But perhaps it served that purpose long ago, and we just didn't know when to let it go. He handed her a small data crystal. This contains messages from every member of the original team that detected the first alien transmission 250 years ago. They recorded them for whoever would eventually answer. I think they would have wanted you to have them. Olivia accepted the crystal, touched by the connection to those long-dead scientists who had first heard the stars speaking. The ship lifted. Off smoothly, its advanced propulsion system barely making a sound. As Earth grew smaller below them, Susan turned to Olivia. 250 years, she said. Do you think we wasted all that time? No, Olivia replied, watching her home planet fade into the distance. We were learning, gathering knowledge. We just needed to find our voice. The dawn accelerated beyond anything humans had built, carrying Earth's first ambassadors to the stars. The silence was broken at last. 5 years passed quickly after Earth's first contact with the Galactic Concordat. The planet transformed in ways few could have imagined. Concordat technology helped solve problems that had troubled humanity for centuries. New medical treatments cured diseases once thought untreatable. Advanced energy systems ended resource scarcity. Climate stabilization methods restored damaged ecosystems. In exchange, the galactic community discovered human art, music, and literature with great interest. Several alien species found human storytelling particularly fascinating, especially the concept of fiction. The idea of creating stories about things that never happened was revolutionary to some Concordat members. On a bright morning in Washington, D.C., Admiral Olivia Hayes stood before the newly completed Concordat embassy. The building blended human and alien architectural styles with sweeping curves that seemed to defy gravity. After her successful mission as Earth's first ambassador, Olivia had been promoted to lead humanity's growing space fleet. Ready for the ceremony? Frank Miller asked, now Captain Miller and one of her most trusted officers. As ready as I'll ever be, she replied, adjusting her new uniform. Today marked the official launch of humanity's first true starship. Built with Concordat assistance but designed and constructed by human engineers, the Vanguard represented Earth's official entry into the interstellar community. The ship waited in orbit, visible as a bright point of light even in the daytime sky. At 500 meters long and carrying a crew of 300, it would be the largest human-built vessel to leave the solar system. Its mission, a 2-year journey to visit 12 Concordat worlds, cementing diplomatic ties and establishing trade relationships. The launch ceremony was broadcast worldwide. President Russell, now in her second term, gave a short speech about humanity's new place among the stars. Various Concordat representatives offered messages of welcome. Then it was Olivia's turn to speak. She looked out at the crowd, humans standing alongside alien visitors, no longer separated by fear or silence. 250 years ago, humanity made a choice born of caution. We decided to listen but not to speak. That choice shaped our development as a species. It taught us patience, observation, and analysis. But it also kept us isolated, unable to benefit from the knowledge and friendship of other civilizations. She gestured to the sky where the Vanguard orbited. Today we embrace a new choice. We choose to add our voice to the great conversation of galactic civilization. We choose to share our unique perspective, our art, our science, and our humanity with others. And in turn, we choose to learn from the incredible diversity of life that surrounds us. After the ceremony, Olivia returned to her apartment to finish packing. As commander of the Vanguard, she would lead Earth's first major diplomatic mission beyond the solar system. The apartment felt empty now, most of her belongings already moved to her quarters on the ship. Only a few personal items remained. She picked up a small display frame containing 2 messages. The first was the mathematical sequence humanity had received from Tau, SETI 255 years ago, the message that had revealed they were not alone. The second was the response she had sent from the Neptune listening post, breaking Earth's long silence. Below them, she had added a simple note. The greatest danger was not in speaking, but in having nothing to say. A soft chime indicated someone at her door. She opened it to find Director Wilson, now Ambassador Wilson, Earth's representative to the Concordat Central Council. I thought you'd be halfway to orbit by now, he said. Final departure is tomorrow morning, she replied, inviting him in. Just finishing up here. Wilson looked older than his years, the stress of the past 5 years evident on his face. Yet, there was a new energy about him, a sense of purpose that hadn't been there before. I wanted to give you something before you left, he said, handing her a small package. Inside was an antique book, a physical copy of the original Silent Protocol document from 250 years ago. Where did you find this? Olivia asked, carefully turning the delicate pages. Archives, Wilson replied. It was going to be destroyed. During the reorganization, I thought it should be preserved. Olivia read the final page, with its signatures from long-dead officials who had never imagined their temporary measure would shape humanity for centuries. I was wrong about you, Hayes, Wilson said quietly, and about a lot of things. For generations, we thought silence kept us safe. We never considered that our voice was our greatest asset. The next morning, Olivia stood on the bridge of the Vanguard as the crew made final preparations for departure. Ryan Cooper, now her first officer, reported that all systems were ready. Susan Bell, heading the communications division, confirmed that all channels were open with Earth Control and the Concordat Navigation Network. Course is set for the Procyon system, Ryan reported. Estimated travel time at maximum speed 11 days. Olivia smiled at the thought. A journey that would have taken human ships decades using their best pre-contact technology, now reduced to less than 2 weeks. Admiral, Susan called from her station. We're receiving messages from all over Earth, people sending good wishes for the journey. Put them on the main screen, Olivia ordered. The screen filled with images from around the world, families, school children, elderly people who had been born when the silent protocol was still unquestioned law. All of them waving, smiling, sending their hopes with the ship. Looks like Earth has a lot to say now, Ryan observed. Time to go, Olivia said. Let's show the galaxy who we really are. The Vanguard's engines hummed to life. The massive ship moved away from Earth orbit, accelerating smoothly. As they passed the moon, Olivia thought about how far humanity had come, not just in terms of technology or distance, but in their willingness to reach out, to connect, to speak. For 250 years, Earth had said nothing, watching and listening as the galaxy lived and grew around them. That silence had ended, not with fear or regret, but with hope and wonder. Humanity had found its voice at last, and the stars would hear it for millennia to come.